Hello all, welcome to Monday Night Live 32 this week. 32, the wonderful world of GPS and mapping out in the bush. So we've got the dark side here, Denise is here, Stephen, Robert, Leanne, Craig. G'day Craig, how are you going mate? I have to ring you at some stage this week. Good to see you can finally watch, Richard. So welcome everyone. So tonight we're going to do GPSs. You might be able to see USB sticks. I've got half a dozen of these USB sticks loaded on there. USB stick. So there is like 30,000 or more. So there's a stack of waypoints on there. And then what have we got here? We have, I think these are. They are the Gold Diggers. Gold Diggers mugs, like the ones I drink out of. I got a few of them to give away tonight. So we're not going to do the sharing thing tonight. We're just going to do the best comment, not the most comments, the best comments for tonight. So we'll pick it all out. So who else we got here? We've got Lisa, Vanessa, Bodell, Shane, Kim, Kerry, everyone's here. Great stuff. So we may as well just get, and as a bit of a special, I've got a Monday Night Live cup as well to give away. So that'll give away, we'll give that away as well. So tonight's show, waypoints. This is just Google Earth. This took me about an hour to do. Now, that's all the gold waypoints I've got in Australia. Now, because there's so many, it took a huge amount of time for the computer to cope with loading them all. I don't actually load them all at once. But when people ask me, you look all the way up that east coast, well, my hand disappears, but all the way up that east coast, when people say, oh no, there's no gold around here. So when you look at that, there is gold all the way up the east coast. Where the population centres are, there's gold, not too far away. So just bear that in mind. And that's what's on this USB stick, those waypoints. So there is a lot of waypoints in Australia. So okay, so there's a question here about the format of waypoints, the formats. Let's talk about GPS formats to start with. Okay, so I'll just show this up. So you'll see here, there's an analog version, which is right over the far side there, and then that is exactly the same as the digital version, which is that version there. So quite often people get confused about what people are talking about here. That's the digital version, or the more modern version. I don't know whether it's analog and digital, but that's how I think about it. But digital, and that's the analog over the far side there. So just bear that in mind when you're reading points. So to convert them, there's online converters, so you can just plug it in and there's online converters. However, this is actually the conversion table to convert analog, if you like, right at the top there, through to digital all the way through. So, I mean, just to give you a bit of a run through, it splits it up. You see there 42.7, they divide that by 60, gives you that figure. Add the 5, all the way through. So if you want to do it old school, pen and paper, that's your formula. So it might be worthwhile just getting a screenshot of that if you're on the phone, or get a replay, but that's the way to convert it. I won't go through all that detail, but there's online converters as well. So that's the waypoint. That's the two different methods of the GPS. So, right, so there's a lot of people here, Shane, Pamela, Robert, Barbara, good to have you here, Barbara. Brett's always one with the telling everyone where the gold location is. Clyde's here. G'day, Clyde. How you going? So, people are saying, can you zoom in a little bit over southern New South Wales, northern Victoria? So these waypoints, I'm going to show you. I have to focus. There's too much information to do every state. So I'm going to focus a little bit on Queensland, simply because I know it better, and there is very similar systems in every state across Australia. So if I go, for instance, we'll load up here and we'll just go, this is just a standard Google Earth. Okay, so Google Earth, one of the big advantages of Google Earth is you can put overlays on it. And when you overlay, you can overlay something, this is Q Globe. And when you zoom in on Queensland, you can see the actual GPS detail gets a whole stack clearer. The actual, when you zoom in on an area, you can see the difference between New South Wales and Queensland there. But if I dial right in on an area, I don't even know where this is, but you can get right in close. I've actually used this to actually spot quartz on the ground in certain areas. So it's a fantastic resource to be able to zoom in on an area and get that exactly right. So that's fantastic for that reason and that reason alone. What you can also do with it, and there's lots and lots and lots of layers. So what you can also do with it here, let me just pick a area, here, let's say, just a random area I've picked. You can also load on it land parcel tenures. So you can actually see what is, so you can see here that boundaries, land parcels, and we can load on it. So you can look at these colours and it tells you, you can scroll here and look at it and go, right, that's actually a reserve. You can see these blue ones here, they're freehold. So you can scroll through a whole area if you're looking to detect an area and see who owns the land. So that's a huge advantage, particularly when you're looking at a big area and you're trying to get into some area. So it does take a while to load because these things have got there's a stack of data going on here. But for instance, we'll turn that one off and we'll just start to get a bit. We'll also turn off the boundaries just to make life a bit clearer. So that's great. So from that we can get addresses, and you can actually load the actual street addresses. You can, well, someone just said, oh, we'll look at a specific area. We can look at a specific area. So if we go up to North Queensland, someone mentioned the Palmer here. Let me see if I can find the Palmer. So let's just have a look here at this area. Okay, it's back at Townsville, let's say, or back at Townsville, Cairns. The next thing you can do with this, and this is the Queensland Globe. Okay, so if you click on the globe information, it brings up a screen like that. They've got a whole stack of what they call globes that you can put on over the top. So feature globes, one of the feature globes is mines. Okay, so if we were just to have a look at the mining department globe, we'll just minimize this, we'll just open that one up. There is a lot of information here, but one that I'll just show you straight off the back is abandoned mines. Now, let me just do this and come back to me here. This is part of the reason I haven't sold these in the past, okay, is because all of the information on here is on your mines department. Every state has a similar sort of thing. Look at just have a look at the mines at the back of Townsville and Cairns. Like if you were looking for, and not all of those are gold mines. Like if we were to look at mines, that one there, that's copper sort of thing. But a lot of these mines, see, there's a lot of copper mines, uranium, but all these minerals occur in gold occurs in highly mineralised ground, just like copper does, just like tin does. You know, there are stacks and stacks of stuff. So that's why I'm not so keen on selling these. People say, oh, you could sell them and have them downloadable and what have you. Well, I could, but I don't want to because I feel a bit dodgy about it. So that is the Q Globe mines, and there's, you know, historical permits on there, there's infrastructure, there's down in this section down in here, there's whole sorts of stuff down here. Okay, so, and when you start looking at the whole of Queensland, there is just, if you just scroll into anywhere, where's Gympie? Where's Gympie? That'll be Gympie somewhere here. I've gone a bit west. But when you start actually getting closer, a lot more mines actually come up. You know, like where is Gympie? That'd be Gympie there. Like look at the mines there. So that's just the abandoned mines, right? Okay. So that's really handy, and there's lots and lots of information you can explore in this area. But if we were to go back to our Queensland Globe information, there's also category globes, so you can add farming and society and transport and all of this stuff, right? But there's also one there, geoscientific information. So if we were just to get out of that, because I've already got it loaded, and pull up this geoscientific, okay, you can actually look at the geology. You can look at detailed geology. You can start throwing all fault lines are on it. You can just go stupid with this stuff and spend hours and hours and hours and hours looking at this detail. So, and structural framework's another one to look at. So that tells you where the joins are in the country. So that's always a great way to look at things. Okay. Let me just flick across to here. So all of that information, right, goes in, and you get some historical books like this, or historical books like this. And you start to put this information together, and it leads you to this stuff, right? And that's the trick to it. So the more research you do, the better off you are. So that was just the Queensland Globe, okay? There is other stuff you can look at, okay? And what I do is I will load, we'll put up, first off we'll put Mines Online up. So this is very, very similar to the information available in a lot of other states. This is much more what you'd be seeing in the other states. This is a website called Mines Online Maps, okay? And what's happening with Mines Online Maps? This is the obviously the Queensland version. So again, you've got. I find this a little bit easier in places to do. Let's have a look. We'll pick a different area. Someone said Mackay there. Here's Mackay. So let's just look at west of Mackay, for instance, with this. We'll turn off just for, this is a very good quality satellite map as well when it zooms in and does its thinking thing. This is a really good quality satellite map as well. Not quite as good as Queensland Globe, like you can get right in nice and close, and you know, you can get really close with some of this gear. So we won't look at those people's backyard for too long. Right, so what do I want to show you here? So very, very similar to what Q-Globe can do. We'll turn off the satellite map actually. It's driving me balmy. We can have a look at the, we can load up the mines here. We'll just go a little bit further out, because normally a lot of these mines are on the coast, just off the coast a little bit. So you'll see here it puts all these M's all over the place. Well, they're all mines, okay? You can also then put detailed geology over the top of this. So it takes a little while to load. So there's your detailed geology. And you can look at a lot of these fault lines and what's happening in the ground. The big advantage of this is you can actually right click on this and go, what's here? And it will tell you historic mining claim there, copper, lead and silver mine. And then you can go over here, the surface geology. You can look at the surface geology. It didn't bring up, I haven't got the detailed, or is it structural framework? But you can load all this gear onto this, okay? And then you just click on a thing and go, what's here? And it spits out what's here. So, like the other Queensland Globe, you can go absolutely crazy with some of this stuff. And who's that? Mark makes a really good point there. It's about, this is your research, this is what you're looking at, and it doesn't matter whether you're looking at relics or gold mining. This is the sort of detail you've got to go into. So we'll just shut that down and come back to me there, and we'll see if there's any questions that I've missed. So I'm going to put up after the show, probably in the comments or the description or somewhere, I'm going to put up a lot of links to all these places round Australia. A lot of them you can do similar things with. So you can do most of what I've just shown you there with all the states. So I'll put all those links up so you can pick your own state and go and have a good look at it. So because I noticed a lot of people are putting up links in the comments, which is fantastic, guys. But we might try and consolidate them all into the comments or something like that. So right. Okay, so people go, I've just seen a couple of comments there, it's very technical. Well, it is and it isn't. You can take this information you can take it however you like. Okay, you might just want to look at some of these, you just might want to look at the waypoints where the old mines are in that area. You know, like you don't have to delve very deep into it. You know, I get into the geology a fair bit of it because I'm looking for gold particularly, and so you don't need to get into that really super fine detail with it. So yes, am I upsetting a few people here? I see people telling me I'm giving up secrets here. So that's all right. There's enough out there to share, let me tell you. So right, so we'll just put up all the links to the Victorians and the New South Wales, and WA's got a whole different system where it talks about tenements and leases and all that sort of thing. So so Bonnie's here, Steve, Gary, Brendan, Richard, Liz. There's stacks of people here. Thanks for coming along, guys. Tonight's prizes is a USB stick that I'm not going to sell. But it's a free giveaway with anything with any of the machines we sell, and I'm giving away half a dozen of them tonight. I've decided that I'm not selling those because all the information is online, so I'm not selling them. So, and also some Gold Diggers cups. I've got a couple of Gold Diggers cups there, and a Monday Night Live cup. So, so they're tonight's prizes with some what was I going to say? Yeah, so they're tonight's prizes. It's best comments. So good questions, good comments, not quantity of comments, but yes. So, right. Okay. That's all well and good. That's all research where you can sit in front of a home, sit at home, do your research, look at your old books, work out, right, I want to go to an area. How? So there's a couple of tricks I use. I have gone away from handheld GPS. You know, you can buy those Garmin. I don't even own one anymore. The Garmin or the Magellan, or they're just a handheld GPS unit with a screen on it that's about the size of, well, it feels like a size of a postage stamp when you wear glasses like these. So these little tiny screens. I just can't, when they're banging along when I'm banging along in the car, I can't see that. So I've had to go for something bigger. So this is what sits next to me in the car, driving along. That's just southeast Queensland there. It's got my waypoints on it. It's got a phenomenal satellite map, so I can zoom right in on that and be driving along and see something in the bush, and that's just an iPad. Okay, so that's an iPad. As long as you've got an iPad with a SIM card slot on the side, it's got a GPS in it, so you can use that without any phone reception, without GPS, without internet, without anything. Okay, so cheap iPad in the car with an app on it. So let me show you the app, wherever it is. Okay, so the mapping system I use is Gaia. I don't even know how to pronounce this, but Gaia. It's an app for your iPad and for your phone. You can put it on your phone, but it also links up to your computer. So it instantly syncs your computer to your. As soon as they're all in Wi-Fi, they all sync together. So you can. So I've got this on my phone. I've got my phone in my pocket. If I put a GPS point in the field on, that will then, once I get back to Wi-Fi, go to my iPad, go to my desktop computer, job done. So with this Gaia, it's got layers on it. We'll just zoom in there a bit. You can get, they're the layers. You can load the satellite map up. The satellite maps are pretty good. This is sorry, I think it's this one here. Oh no, what's going on here? The satellite maps are very, very good on it. It doesn't like it at the moment, but that's okay. Something's overriding the visibility of it, I think. But very good satellite map. in the car. You can load all of your waypoints on it. You can load all of your tracks on it. You can load everything on it, and it gives you Australia-wide coverage. I just love the fact that it's you have to download the maps before you go to the areas you're going in. Once they're downloaded, you can use this off the internet. You don't need phone service. You don't need anything else. It's just a complete system. You can drive to your waypoint and happy days. So that's what I use in the field, in the car. So that's what I suggest people use. So I've even seen people with iPad mounts on their GPS, on their detectors. Yes. So can it do? Denise asked a question. Can it do opal mines? Denise. I think what you're talking about is. Let's go to Google Earth. Let me just flick you across here. Google Earth. You're talking about abandoned mines. Let's look at. You want to look at opals. So if you go out west here, for instance, what's that fella there? There you go, opal. So a lot of these mines, like a lot of these abandoned mines you see here, are all different types of mines. So mineral. Yeah, so all the minerals are there on the abandoned mines. So absolutely, it'll show opals up. So right, young guns are here. G'day, young guns. That's great. Peter asked what brand of iPad. I've just bought an old iPad. Like, it was actually one that I used to have that I replaced, and it was just a standard old iPad. As long as it's got a SIM card slot in it, you're laughing. I believe it works on any, like you can go and buy a, what do they call them, Android. I think it works on them as well. So, yeah, so any of those. Cooper Petey's out of the range, I'm afraid, of the Queensland one, guys, so we can't do that. Yeah, it's Gaia GPS unit. Yeah, Daryl's just put up a link there in the comments. I'll put links to all this stuff in the descriptions after the show. So, so when I look at geology, okay, let's get some geology. I don't know enough about geology, but let's get some geology going. I'm going to do I'm actually planning to do a course on geology, a little bit myself. So let's just turn off. Let's actually go to Google Earth actually, and we'll do it in Google Earth. Sorry, I'll just load this up here. You can watch me load it up here. And we'll just pick an area and we'll go detailed. They're very pretty maps, aren't they, these geology? Oh, I love them anyway. So, so just picking a random area here, we've got some, so if we look at, like, let me turn off. So there's a lot of detail here, like there's volcanics and all sorts of stuff here. So let me just turn off I've got something on here that's not helping me a lot. But anyway, if you were to look at some of these fault lines and where these mines are, these mines occur on these fault lines, and there's a reason for that. Gold. The way I think about it is that gold is pushed up from the Earth's core over millions and millions of years, volcanic interruptions, all of this sort of thing. So I'm looking for, if it's pushed up from the core, I'm looking for fault lines, I'm looking for gaps in the Earth, I'm looking for I'm driving along, I'm looking for the colour change in the road or a change in the rock. That's the sort of thing I'm looking for with this. And a lot of these, this mapping helps dramatically. So if I'm going out to Thanes, out where there is, I'm working on areas where there's definite changes in country. You know, you look at some of the areas up there in North Queensland, the Palmer. There is a dead set line in the sand where gold's on one side of the line and none on the other side of the land. So, so yeah, there is stacks and stacks of there's stacks and stacks of stuff there. So, Alfonso mentions, do you ever use magnetic earth maps? I haven't played a lot with them, but if we go back here and let's turn off a bit of this, let's turn off geology. You can actually go down the side here and look at geophysics, I believe it's under, gravity surveys, all sorts of different surveys. You can just overlay it over the top, looking for whatever you like. These do take a long time to load because they can be over the top. I don't know enough about them, so my suggestion would be to do a bit of research on that before you committed to that, because I don't know a whole stack about it. But yeah. So questions here about how much that app is. I think off the top of my head, I think I paid $30 for the app, and I think I paid $30 for the good satellite map. I think that was it about. So, yes. So, Gary, I do look like when I talk about geology, I like to go into areas that are proven gold fields or on the outside of proven gold fields where the country looks exactly the same or very, very similar sort of thing. So, so that's how I think about it. So I quite often find myself having a lot of fun 1 to 5 kilometres outside the goldfields, not necessarily right smack bang in the goldfields where everyone goes. I don't think there's probably a mining company payable quantity there, but you get around some of those edges, there's still some good gold around. Like people don't, like I don't think people quite understand how big this country is. Like if you're starting to look, like just in that area there, you'd never, the country's enormous, like you would never get across it. All the way down the coast here is full of gold. Like we saw that map up there behind me there before. It is just full of gold. So there's gold out there to be found. The gold out there to be found, yep. Oh yeah, app was free, but membership is $28 a year. So yes, so that's how much it is. So Chris is talking about Mount Warning. I believe there hasn't been any about. I don't think there's been any on Mount Warning, but certainly in that area, yes. So. Yeah, no worries. Ray, got that ATX out to you. You'll love that, mate. So I sent you an email or something, I think. So it's gone though, but yeah. Right, so yeah, the Gippsland Victoria still got a lot of gold. There's a lot of gold everywhere. People seem to think, oh no, 150 years, people have been digging it up. It's still there. You know, there is areas that people still haven't been into in any great detail. Certainly in the last 30 years, you know, it's been held in private property. You know, there's 1,000 acres backing onto such and such state forest or what have you, which is impossible to get into, and the state forest is, you know, 26,000 hectares, and, you know, it's still around. So, yeah, so, right, so let's have a look at some questions here, and Trevor went magnet fishing the other day. I got 3 magnets, but they were very tricky to fillet. Well done, Trevor. Because next week's show, I've decided to do a magnet fishing expose. So next week's show will be magnet fishing, and we'll have stacks of fun there. And then in about the week after, I suspect I've got a special guest, a returning special guest, Mr. NQ Explorers, the greatest YouTube channel ever. He'll be on, and we're going to do, we're thinking about doing a little bit on bush ranges. So that's 2 weeks, magnet fishing next week, and bush ranges the week after. So look at that, I'm getting a bit organised, and we're 2 weeks out already. So if you've got any questions about magnet fishing, or send them to me this week, and next week, we haven't quite worked out what we're doing with bush ranges, but if you have questions, just flick them through to me so we're a bit prepared. So I've got some other information here as well. Clyde sent me a little bit more of an update on some of those coils. The 12x8 Evo coil that we were talking about last week, that was just in testing, I've actually got some pricing on that. It'll be, we expect it to be about $460 recommended retail. So there's some good reviews starting to get around on it. So I think there's a couple of them out. So, but they're released for August, I think. August, something like that. A few weeks, month out, sort of thing. So that should be great fun. So yeah, Trevor mentions they're great coils there. So and GemQ, GemQ's got a great YouTube channel as well, but Warren's he's just updated us here, he's up to 9,419 subscribers. We've got the big push on getting him to 10,000. So if you haven't subscribed to NQ Explorers, please do. And while you're there, go and have a look at GemQ's page as well. So that's all good there. So, okay. Russell asks if there has been any updates on the land that we're being locked out of in Victoria. Yes, that particular piece of land, I believe, has certainly gone through. I don't know whether they've banned prospecting yet, but it is looking that way. So that is the first if you like, that's the start of the land grab in Victoria. So get onto the PMAV in Victoria, like their Facebook page, sign all the petitions, get amongst it. I was shocked that some of the petitions only had 1,300 signatures on it. I thought they would have thousands. So, So get in there if it's restricting your hobby, get in there and join those people that are trying to help prospectors. So, Tony asks, Tony, are you doing this in the shop? Yes, I do it I do it in my shop every Monday night. We will be taking it on the road at some stage as well, but we did do a bit of a live feed from the shop on Friday. We had a new sluice set up, a new demonstration set up out the front of the shop, and we ran some pay dirt through that there last Friday, and yeah, it was interesting. A lot of people watched it, and we did a clean up, and it was for that fine gold. I was surprised how good that clean up was. So, right. So I also did a very interesting thing today too. I had someone in who buys a lot of gold, like scrap gold and old jewellery and things like that. We were panning off to see if there was any gold in some flux, and it was full of gemstones. Just an incredible thing. We were trying to run it through a sluice to keep the diamonds and the that sort of thing, like the heavies up high, and let the lighter stuff go off the side. So yeah, fascinating. We haven't conquered that yet, because it's very hard stuff to work, because everything's heavy. It's all the gemstones, it's the gold, it's like, how do you separate it? So we're having a bit of fun with that. So right. Oh, thanks Cameron, love the Friday live. Yeah, it was a bit rough and ready, but that's fine. Yeah, sorry, I got distracted there before. We were talking about where to find gold. Quartz, ironstone, black sand are all good indicators of gold. Not all the time if there's quartz, I've seen quartz reefs that are completely barren, nothing in it. But normally where you find gold, there'll be one of those three hanging about. So, yes. And ironstone, iron. The old saying that gold rides on the iron horse. Yeah, so. At this stage, there is no chance of a live audience, a studio audience, because I'm doing this in the shed, but there's some changes coming up shortly that we might be able to have a little bit of a studio audience, and yeah. So it was, yeah, we'll see what happens there, so yeah. Lots of questions here about Z-Link Pro Pointer from Garrett, the wireless carrot, we'll call it. So the night we do, not next week, it's magnet fishing next week, but the week after when we do bush ranges, we might, that might be the prize. So we'll do a little bit on Z-Link Pro Pointers. So Z-Link Pro Pointers are fantastic if you've got a Z-Link Garrett Z-Link headphone kit, and they're fantastic if you've got AT Max. So, and they've got an upgraded water depth too on them, I think. So, yeah. Right. Yeah. So, right, have we got any questions here about GPS? We've got, here's a question from Guy. Guy asks, I have another newbie question. Ben, how do you know if I have... keeps sliding away on me here. Let's get Guy here. So Guy says how you can identify gemstones as you did with that that was like a brownie coloured sapphire. Well, I'm not very good at it. I do know a few sapphires. Like you hold them up to the light, you can see there's something there. So I'm terrible at them. I've actually bought a whole stack of gemstone books that I bought a whole stack of gemstone books, and I bought this one, The Prospecting for Gold, in 1931, and the 1931 Prospecting for Gold books won my attention. So, yeah, so that's what's happened. So I haven't got to the gemstone books yet, but yes. David, very, very good point here. The clay is holds the gold pretty well as well. So if you're doing alluvial stuff, some of that clay can hold it. I've also had it where there's no gold in the clay, but the gravel directly above the gravel directly above the clay will hold the gold as well. So, where else? So, yes, g'day Warren. Warren's here. Hello. The Carrot is waterproof to 6 metres, 20 feet. So, a bit of an upgrade there on that. So, fantastic stuff. So, yes. So, the app we were talking about there before, we'll just load it up here, is Gaia GPS. That's it there. I've got it zoomed right out at the moment. But you can see the detail on the GPS, on the satellite map there. And then we've got all the, quite easy to see the national parks and that there. So that's good. This is the one I do. The Mines Online is what I do most of my research and stuff on. So, yeah. So, right. So we're talking about a lot. I see there's a lot of chatter here about taped off areas. What's the reason? I don't know what's going on in Victoria at the moment. But the red taped off areas, I suspect, are cultural significance. I would expect it to be that, but they should have a link. They should have a link. They should have a sign on them to say exactly what's going on with them. So, yeah. Do yourself a, like, if there's taped off spots, right, they're taped off for a reason. If there's no sign, just leave them be and move on. There's a lot of ground that's not taped up, so that would be my suggestion to start with. So we've got lots and lots of people here tonight. Debbie and Daryl and Meg and Kane and Helen and David's here and Shane and yeah. So very, very good. Yeah, if you go to Bush Users, Jem Q's just mentioned it here. Bush Users on Facebook. They support they're supporting the prospecting in Victoria, and I think we probably need a national approach to this at some stage. We seem to be fragmented into state groups, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to be attacking this from a state group. Surely we would have more power as a national group, but what would I know? So, right. Linda asked a great question here. What gold detector can you use submerged in water and online? So, Linda, I guess you mean under power lines. So, there's a lot of, like Garrett ATX is waterproof to 3 metres. The Minelab ones aren't. The SDC is. There's a stack of metal detectors that are waterproof. Minelab's got stacks of waterproof detectors. Garrett's got stacks of waterproof detectors. White's. Everyone does a waterproof detector. Depends how waterproof you want. You know, if you want to go diving with them, you know, there's specific underwater diving machines, Excalibur, Sea Hunter. Is it Coin Master from? I don't know. There's stacks of them. Everyone's got one. So, Helen knows gemstones. There we go. Clyde, yeah, that's Clyde asked, but please be the voice, mate. I don't think I'll be too politically correct. So, right. So it's 20 past 8. So we've got a couple of, just some couple of questions about, from a couple of weeks ago about the gold panning and about gold floating on the surface of the water. If you're getting a lot of gold floating on the surface water, just a couple of drops of dishwashing liquid will break the surface tension and let the gold drop through. So I believe that's the easiest way to do it. No more than a drop or two. We've had occasions here where I've given the sluice out the front here a bit of a squirt because we had some gold floating at one stage there, and we ended up with a lot of bubbles in the shop. A huge mound of bubbles appeared. So particularly when you're running a recirculating sluice, here's a tip for you. Only a tiny amount of dishwashing liquid will do the job. You don't need. It took us a little while to clean that mess up. So, right. Okay. So, David asked a great question here. If we took the recirculating sluice out to Warwick, would it be legal in Queensland to run that out at Warwick? Technically, no, is the short answer. You can't run anything mechanically. I wouldn't like to say. Yeah, go and do it. I have run it out there. I'm quite comfortable. I'm looking forward to having a chat with a mining inspector out there. But that's what I'm trying to do. Yes. So, right. Oh, people are using rinse aid. Okay. And salt. Christian, how do you use salt? Just the salt water makes it drop, does it? Yeah, so. Right. Bubble bath. It was a big bubble bath. You should have seen. There was an area, I don't know, 10 feet by 10 feet. And somewhere in the middle of that was a sluice. So it was, yeah. So yeah, it was a lot of bubbles. So yes. And that's the other thing too with floating gold. If you've got, I've got a pan here. If you've got a bit of grease or something on your pan, if you're not looking after your pan, that's another thing, that oil will float off that, and you end up gold floating everywhere, and you don't know what's going on with it. So yes, Infinium. Ricky asked, is Infinium any good for gold? Yes, they used to be. Well, the technology's getting a little old now. That's why they've sort of started to discontinue it. But the best machine to use for gold is the one you've got in your hand. So I wouldn't necessarily... some of those old pulse induction machines, and I'm talking about of any brand, are still working pretty well. So, yep. Right. Okay, so we might... we're just about there. We've got lots and lots of questions. Yeah, dishwashing liquid is the way. I found that very interesting, guys, the salt. I didn't know that the salt would break the tension. I was always a dishwashing liquid man, but yes. For people that are looking for a sluice that you can run legally in areas where you can't run a powered sluice, if you go to the Gold Diggers website and search in their push box, there's a sluice there that you can shovel into, and let me actually just pull it up here. You can shovel into it and bucket water into it, and completely legal. And as much as you can shovel and as much as you can bucket into it, go for your heart out, go for your life. So let me just pull it up here. We've just about there we are. I couldn't find where we are. It seems we've got a lot of people targeting us for ads. Now we're down a fair bit down the search file, so we've got to have a look at a way of fixing that. So even when you type in gold diggers, everyone's looking at all these ads for us. So where is the push box? Isn't there? Is it? High bank. Here it is. So let me just bring that across there. That's what it looks like there, the push box. So basic, you shovel into this area at the top here, and then you bucket water into it, and as the water flows out, it's sorting the gravel for you. So it's the Gold Rat push box sort of thing. So, but there's the picture of it there. I don't know whether I can get a bigger, not really, not a bigger picture. So, but yeah, no, it's a good little thing, that push box. So, but yeah, so they are very, very cool. Gold Rat does some very innovative products, and that is one of the, that's very clever, that machine. So yeah, very, very clever. So right, okay, right, we've got it good here. Right, so that's sort of about us tonight, guys. I'll go through and pick the best comments out, and I'll send out some GPS locations. And I'll send out a couple of mugs and a Monday Night Live mug. Yes, so next week's show is going to be magnet fishing. We're going to drop the gold for a minute. We're actually going to drop the gold for 2 weeks, really. And we're going to talk about magnet fishing and what fun it can be. And then we're going to do bush rangers with Warren in 2 weeks' time. So look out for the post through the week. We're going to have a fairly decent prize next week, and then we're going to have a big prize the week after. So make sure you join us, and we'll go back to the sharing. We'll get the randomizer, dust the randomizer off for next week and the week after for the sharing, and we'll go back to that. And right, so we'll have a great night, and thank you very much for joining me tonight. It was an absolute pleasure.